Hey everybody, and welcome to my review for Weathering with You, a 2019 Japanese anime film by writer-director Makoto Shinkai, who directed Your Name a couple years ago, which was a huge hit. He also directed Garden of Words, which is a pretty nice, shortish film anime, and 5 centimeters per second, which is also a pretty great movie as well. So quickly, this is a spoiler-free review. I'm going to give a quick overview of the story. It revolves around a young man named Hadoka, who's a teenager, and he runs away from home and moves to Tokyo to try to start a new life. While he's there, he meets a girl named Hina, who may or may not have magical powers, and they start hanging out together and become friends and live their lives the best they can. And so it's really kind of a coming-of-age story, like a love story, but it's got some sci-fi slash fantasy elements mixed into it. So Weathering with You came out in 2019 in Japan, but it's just now getting its American release in 2020. I was fortunate enough to have a theater near me that I could go see the film. However, there was 2 showtimes and they didn't say that there was a difference. And so when I got a ticket, I saw the dubbed version of the film and not the subtitled version of the film, which is what I would prefer to see. This actually is a very good dub, I think. Sometimes the voices in dubs can be, questionable. Like they either use famous actors who clearly aren't into it, or they end up using character or voice actors who just don't fit the characters. And that is really, can really break the immersion of the movie. So I was a little worried when I found out I was seeing the dubbed version, but it actually was pretty good, and it didn't break the immersion for me much at all. So since this is an anime, it's worth talking about the art. It's pretty similar to Your Name, the art style, very similar. I'd be hard-pressed to discern too many differences. One thing I will say is that the art direction of the film feels less experimental. There were some really cool things with Your Name where we get these animated time lapses where you see time passing in these really beautiful animated time lapses, but we don't get anything that's that kind of artistically pushed in this film. This film feels more grounded. It feels way more, basic filmmaking, and this feels much more closely related to Garden of Words, which Garden of Words was also a much more grounded, realistic premise. So it made sense to have fairly standard filmmaking practices and like the kinds of shots you use and things like that. So even though the art style is not too crazy and different, it's well executed. We're in Tokyo, we're in kind of a realistic alternate universe version of Tokyo, and we get some really beautiful vistas of just what the city of Tokyo looks like. And they're very beautiful and they're very well done. And so it was enjoyable and immersive in that way when I'm watching the film, which I really appreciated considering it's such a grounded film. And then the music is good. It does a similar thing to Your Name where it uses, I would just say they feel like Japanese pop songs. And I don't know if that's true because I don't really listen to Japanese pop music at all, but they sound like Japanese pop songs, and they kind of are just sort of spritzed into the storytelling. You have the story is moving along, and it kind of feels like old school musicals from like the 50s where this song will just start and then it goes into like a montage of characters doing stuff. But it feels kind of intrusive because the score of the film is pretty understated, it's pretty mellow, and then all of a sudden we get this kind of really upbeat pop song. And it's just a little weird. It really does feel like a sequel to Your Name in a lot of respects because of that, because Your Name shared that style of filmmaking. So all that being said, it's not a bad thing at all. I think there's very few things to dislike about the movie. I think it's really well done. I think it's beautiful. I think the dub was surprisingly good. And I would recommend this film to anybody who's a fan of anime, especially if you're a fan of Your Name. If you saw Your Name and you really enjoyed that film, I think you'll like this film too. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. It's a really good film, it's really well made, and overall, I think it was very successful in the story it was trying to tell and what it was trying to do. So thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate anybody who stops by. Please leave a comment on your thoughts on Weathering with You if you saw it. I'd love to have a discussion what other people thought of the film. If you enjoy the content, I'm gonna be uploading more reviews as the year goes on. So like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you next time.